some parts of the country, weather-related disasters like droughts and fires and storms and floods are going to get harsher, and they're going to get costlier. Today's Congress, though, is full of folks who stubbornly and automatically reject the scientific evidence about climate change. They will tell you it is a hoax or a fad. One member of Congress actually says the world is cooling.
Meanwhile, a new draft of the United Nations report warns climate change could become irreversible if greenhouse gas emissions go unchecked. The report from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, obtained by media outlets, says human-driven warming has already fueled extreme heat and torrential rains as temperatures have risen 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit since pre-industrial times. While the report says it could still be possible to cap warming at the globally agreed-upon limit of 3.6 degrees Fahrenheit or 2 degrees Celsius, it warns a continued rise in emissions could eventually cause an 8-degree Fahrenheit rise. That could prompt mass extinction of plants and animals and catastrophic floods. If global warming is to be adequately contained, the report says at least 3/4 of known fossil fuel reserves must remain in the ground.
The new UN report is more of the same in a sense. It's the scientific community through the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change telling us what they've been telling us now for 2 decades, that global warming is out of control and the biggest threat that human beings have ever faced. They're using what was described as blunter or more forceful language. At this point, you know, short of self-immolation in Times Square, there's really not much more that the scientific community could be doing to warn us. Our early warning systems have functioned. You know, the alarm has gone off. All our satellites and sensors and supercomputers have produced the information that we need to know. The question is, will we act on it? And the answer so far is no. It's been no in Congress, that's for sure. Nothing is going to move through Congress, and there's no hope of a treaty that would get ratified by 2/3 of the Senate. That's the complication at the moment in international negotiations. We can't reach any kind of binding treaty. Everyone's known this. The Times story about the new Obama approach is pretty much old news. Everybody's known for years that there's not going to be a treaty ratified by the U.S. Senate, and everyone's been looking for some kind of workaround. The workaround would involve some kind of different voluntary commitments by different countries, but done publicly so one could keep track of them. If this all sounds a little dubious to you, it will sound even more dubious to all the countries that are, you know, watching themselves disappear beneath the waves, so on and so forth as global warming accelerates. The real question, though, is less the form of the agreement than the content. And here's where we'll find out in the next few months whether the Obama administration is actually serious or not. If we're going to do anything about the problem on the scale that the scientists describe it, then we're going to need far, far more ambitious attempts than the Obama administration has put forward so far. Yes, they've put a cap on coal-fired power plants. That's good. At the same time, they've helped expedite the rise of the United States to become the biggest coal and gas producer in the world, passing the Saudis and the Russians. And they've watched coal exports steadily grow. That's not compatible with what the scientists tell us, that we need to keep 75 or 80% of the fossil fuel that we know about underground. So the Obama administration, which likes to poke fun at, you know, recalcitrant congressmen, hasn't been willing to really endure much in the way of political pain itself in order to slow things down. The rest of the world can see that. The only way we'll change any of these equations here or elsewhere is by building a big movement. That's why September 21st in New York, which all these groups are coordinating, is such an important day.